This morning, students. How are you? Fine, good. Now, today too we are going to learn chapter number 2, microorganisms. Right? As we know, our world is full of different types of living organisms. In it, some are very big, some are very small. There are some organisms that are too small, so we can't see by our naked eyes. We have to use a microscope to see them. These tiny living things that cannot be seen with naked eye but can only be seen under a microscope are called microorganisms, right? Or in simple words, we can say what? Microbes. The science which deals with the study of microorganisms is called microbiology, that you will learn in the upper classes. The scientists who study microorganisms are called microbiologists, right? Some microorganisms are useful to us in our day-to-day life, and some others cause diseases, means are the harmfuls, right? That harmful microorganisms are called pathogens, right? Now, what do you mean of microorganisms? Already I have told you, which we can't see by the naked eyes. Where they found? Microorganisms are found everywhere, in the air, water, soil, inside the bodies of humans and animals, in dead and decaying organic matter. They can survive in extreme condition of ice cold climates to hot springs. They can survive in almost all types of environment, right? And so that's why it's available everywhere. It's found everywhere. If we classify them, they are categorized, classified into 5 different groups, like bacteria, fungi, protozoa, algae, viruses, right? Now let's first we discuss about bacteria. Bacteria, what do you mean of it? They are the simplest of all microorganisms and are unicellular, means what? Single celled. They are found in different shapes like rod shape, spherical shapes, and comma shape. Almost all the bacteria are invisible to the naked eyes. Under the optimal conditions, bacteria can grow extremely rapidly and can double as quickly as every 10 minutes, right? Next one, algae is the most of them unicellular organisms, singular. They are simple plant like organisms. They possess chlorophyll and can prepare their own food. Mostly it's already found in water, right? Protozoa, they are unicellular, which cannot prepare their own food, means what? They are heterotrophs, means depend on others but dependent, right? Fungi, they are non-green plants which are mostly saprophytes and some are parasites. They are unicellular or multicellular. Example of the unicellular is yeast and multicellular is a mushroom. Viruses, what we can say about the viruses? Are the very small organisms that can only be seen under electron microscope. They are made up of genetic material surrounded by a protein coat. They can only multiply inside a living host shell. Host shell. Outside the host shell, a virus does not show any characteristics of a living things. Is one of the unique characteristics of viruses, right? Viruses are said to be on the borderline of living and non-living organisms. Bacteriophage, influenza virus, and nowadays you might well familiar with the another one, corona, are some examples of viruses, right? So now all of you understood about it. Sure, good. Now out of them, some are very useful to us. Some microorganisms are useful to us in the different ways. If we are already using in our day-to-day life curd, even we are very familiar with the bread, cakes and idlis, right? To make it that different food items, microorganisms are useful to us. Let's try to discuss somewhat about curd. A bacterium called lactobacillus is useful in making curd from milk. We know well milk contains a lactose, means milk sugar, and curd contains the bacterium lactobacillus that helps to convert lactose into the milk to lactic acid. In this way, curd is formed from milk. Got it? As it is, how we'll prepare bread, cakes and idlis. A unicellular fungus named yeast is used to make it. To make bread, yeast is added to a mixture of flour, which already we are going to use, sugar and warm water, and is kneaded to make a soft dough. The dough is left undisturbed for 2 to 3 hours, during which it rises in due to the production of carbon dioxide by the respiration of yeast cells. When the dough is baked, the carbon dioxide is driven off and making the bread porous and spongy. In another word, we can say fluffy, right? As it is, microorganisms are used for making alcohol. Yeast is used in the commercial production of wine and beer, right? Yeast is grown on natural sugars present in grains of barley, wheat, rice, crushed fruit juices, etc. They convert sugar into alcohol in the absence of oxygen, and this whole process is known as what? Fermentation. Got it? However, already we are preparing the pickles at our home. So by which process it's made up of? Fermentation, right? Same way, so many microorganisms are using to prepare antibiotics and vaccine. What do you mean of antibiotics? And what do you mean of vaccination? What is vaccination? Let's try to understand. As we discussed before it, as it is, microorganisms are used to prepare antibiotics. The chemical substances produced by microorganisms such as bacteria and fungi are called antibiotics. They either kill or stop the growth of pathogens, right? Antibiotics are chemical that kill bacteria, and so that's why it is used to treat several diseases. The one antibiotics, penicillin, was discovered by Alexander Fleming in 1928. It was prepared from a fungus called Penicillium notatum. Sulfadizine, streptomycin, and tetracycline are some examples of antibiotics. As it is vaccines. What do you mean of vaccines? The substance used to produce immunity to disease, means give a boost immunity power to against the diseases is in the body, are called what? Vaccines. The ability of a body to resist or fight against the disease is called immunity, means it's already boosting our immunity power, and for that what we have to use? Vaccine. Vaccines are dead and weakened microorganisms, so they do not harm to our body. Vaccines are introduced into the body to induce the formation of antibodies that fight against microorganisms, and this whole is known as what? Vaccination. Vaccines have been developed against cholera, smallpox, polio, typhoid, whooping cough, etc. And even nowadays, so many scientists are already trying to find out the vaccines of which? Corona, right? And if we get it, definitely we maybe saves our self, right? Now onwards from the next topic to the nitrogen fixing. Yeah, about the nitrogen cycle we will learn in next period. Okay, bye. Students, in last period we have learned about microorganisms, its different types, as well as its some usefulness. Now in this period we are going to learn some other uses of microorganisms in agriculture, how already it is helpful to increase soil fertility, as a source of food, as a help to clean the environment, and harmfulness of organisms, right? As well as how already this is causes in humans and animals, and how it is useful for the food preservation, right? Now let's discuss very first about in agriculture how already it is used to increase the soil fertility. We know well about rhizobium bacteria, which are present in the root nodules, right, of pulses, means leguminous plants like pea and bean, right? These bacteria are able to fix atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into suitable forms like nitrates. Some bacteria and blue-green algae living in the soil can also fix atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates. These microbes are commonly called biological nitrogen fixers, and due to that soil fertility is increases with nitrogen fixation. So like this way microorganisms are useful in agriculture to increase soil fertility. Got it? Now, as a source of food, in this season, you might seen about and heard about the mushrooms. Mushrooms, although the bigger than the microorganisms, is a fungi which are eaten by many people because it's enriched in proteins and vitamins. Got it? Yeast is also rich in proteins and vitamin B, so it is also one of the important source of food. Many seaweeds as well as algae like chlorella are used as food in China and Japan. Got it? As now, how already microorganisms are helping us to cleaning our environment, because it is a very important to cleaning the environment, otherwise everywhere we get what dirtiness. Bacteria and fungus both are decompose the dead and decaying plant and matter, animal matter into the simple inorganic substances, and so that's why they are called decomposers also. Got it? Sure, all of you understood? Good. Now we are going to discuss about some harmfulness of microorganisms. What do you mean of harmful? Which can cause problem to us, right? And they causes a what? Harmful diseases, can spoil our food as well as even our clothes. So from it we come to know how dangerous harmful microorganisms. And microorganisms can cause diseases in both plants as well as in animals also. And these diseases causing microorganisms are called pathogens, right? Some animal and plant diseases and their they are causes due to the virus, bacteria as well as protozoa. How already it's causing? Pathogens cause diseases in humans, and those diseases caused by it is known as what? Communicable diseases. Because why? As they can spread from one person to another person. Nowadays we might well familiar with the corona, COVID-19 is one of the good example of the communicable diseases, and so that's why we have to maintain social distances, use mask, stay away, stay safe, as well as we have to cleaning ourselves after one hours interval also, right? So those are the some miserable steps we have to take to stay safe ourselves, right? Now if we talk about another different diseases caused due to the microorganisms: cholera, common cold, chicken pox, tuberculosis, even the due to the anopheles mosquitoes we get what? Fever, malaria, right? Yellow fever, even chikungunya are the some examples of disease causing microorganisms in human body, and most of them they are spreaded due to the what? Stagnant water, dirty water, right? See the picture, so you come to know how female anopheles mosquito is affect to our body. as it is that type of it's harms to plants also, right? Potato blight causes due to the virus, tobacco mosaic due to the virus, rust of wheat due to the fungus, citrus canker due to the bacterium. And here the one list of the some microbial diseases like tuberculosis, measles, chickenpox, polio, how already it's transmitted, what are the symptoms, as well as how we have to prevent from it. So that measures are given over here, preventing measures also given over here. So just try to understand it, right? And try to prevent ourselves from it so we can save ourselves. Got it? Sure. Good. Now next is diseases causing by microorganisms in animals, like a foot and mouth disease in cattle as well as in human being, causes due to the virus, sleeping sickness in cattle, pigs and horses due to the protozoa are the some diseases caused due to the microorganisms. Next is food poisoning. It causes food poisoning also, right? Let's try to understand how it's already happening. Mainly food poisoning is causes due to the what spoilage of food items is a very common problem that we come across in our daily life. Food gets spoiled when it is attacked by microorganisms, right? Spoiled food gives, how we can identify spoiled foods. Spoiled food gives off foul smell and its taste becomes very bad. Sometimes its color may even change. Even sometimes we get a whitish layer on it. And if we eat that spoiled food, can cause what? Food poisoning. And due to the eat, what are the symptoms? Sometimes we face vomiting, diarrhea, as well as upsetting of stomach. Understood? Are the some symptoms by which we come to know maybe we have what? Food poisoning. Got it? Sure. Now next, preservation, methods of food preservation. What is the meaning of food preservation? The process by which food is prevented from spoiling is known as what? Food preservation, right? Some methods already we are using in our day-to-day life of the food preservation are drying, freezing or refrigeration, pasteurization, salting and adding sugars by use of chemicals, canning, right? As well as any other more, salting are the some methods, right? If drying, first let's we discuss about drying. It is an effective method of food preservation. In this method, what we are doing, moisture content of food is reduced by drying in the sun to prevent the growth of microorganisms. At the when we are already preserve all our food grains, very first what we are doing, we are keeping under the sunlight to make it dry, right? And then after we'll preserve it. Yes, so we all are familiar with it. Next, freezing or refrigeration. In our day-to-day life, every day we are using it. So many items, all the vegetables already we are buying for the 1 week, 2 weeks, we'll keep in freeze. Even vegetables, fruits, milk and milk product we are keeping in our freeze, right? We might seem to our mother putting the different food items in fridge. Sure, good. Next is pasteurization. This method is already used to preserve milk. In this method, milk is heated to about 70 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes and then coolen down quickly. And this sudden change in temperature kills the microorganisms present in the milk and prevents them from growing. Honey, beer, wine, and juices are also preserved using this method. And that pasteurized milk is stored in sterilized pouches or in bottles, which already we are using in our day-to-day life, right? Salting and adding sugars. I think so most of them pickles we are making, jam, in it we are using this method, right? And they are known as what? Natural preservatives. Use of chemicals like citric acid, sodium benzoate, and potassium metabisulfite are used as preservatives to preserve jams, sauces, and ketchups, which already we are using a lot. Ketchups, right? It's a mouth-watering item, maybe. Yes, food items. Canning is one of the best methods to preserve food items for a long time period. Nowadays, the juice of the mango pulp, I think so, we are sealed in a can and heated at a high temperature to kill microorganisms. The food is stored in airtight containers and cannot be spoiled by microorganisms. Canned food can be preserved for years. Now, then after, next topic will continue in next period. Okay, bye. Now in this period we are going to learn about nitrogen fixation and its cycle. Now let's see, first of all we discuss about nitrogen fixation. The conversion of atmospheric nitrogen into a form which is readily available to plants is called nitrogen fixation, right? Now let's discuss about a nitrogen cycle. See, the process by which nitrogen is fixed, used by plants and animals, and then returned again to the atmosphere is called nitrogen cycle. Some important process of nitrogen cycle include nitrogen fixation, ammonification, nitrification, and denitrification are the four different process of it, right? As we know, the atmosphere of earth contains approximately 78% of nitrogen gas, right? However, this atmospheric nitrogen has some limited availability for biological use, leading to a scarcity of usable nitrogen. This atmospheric nitrogen must be processed or fixed to be used by plants, and this conversion of atmospheric nitrogen into a form which is readily available is known as what? Nitrogen fixation. About it already we had discussed, right? And it's one of the important steps in the nitrogen cycle, which already distributes the supply of these essential nutrients for every. As it is, some fixation occurs in monsoon season due to the lightning strikes, but most fixation is done by free-living or symbiotic bacteria. Some nitrogen fixing bacteria, such as already we had discussed before it about rhizobium, live in the root nodules of legumes such as peas or beans, like pulses, right? They use atmospheric nitrogen to produce ammonia. Nutrient poor soils can be planted with legumes to enrich them with nitrogen. A few other plants can also form such symbiosis. Now let's discuss about nitrate assimilation. Plants take nitrogen from the soil in the form of nitrate and ammonium salts by absorption through their roots and use them to synthesize amino acids, protein, nucleic acids, and other nitrogen compounds. And this whole process is known as what? Nitrate assimilation. Humans and animals utilize plant proteins and synthesize animal proteins. When plants and animals die, the proteins present in them are converted back to ammonium compounds by bacteria and fungus. That waste expelled by animals is also a nitrogenous organic compound called urea, which is also converted into ammonia by the action of fungus. This process of conversion of organic nitrogenous compounds into ammonia is called ammonification, and the process of converting ammonia into nitrates is called nitrification. Understood? The nitrates in the soil are again absorbed by the plants. The conversion of nitrates in the soil to free molecular nitrogen is called denitrification. This is done by denitrifying bacteria such as Pseudomonas and Clostridium in anaerobic conditions. Got it? So in this way, the amount of nitrogen, the percentage of the nitrogen remains constant in the atmosphere, right? Some such human activities as combustion of fossil fuel, use of artificial nitrogen fertilizers, and release of nitrogen in wastewater have dramatically altered the global nitrogen cycle. So now all of you understood about it. Sure. Nitrogen, what are the 4 different steps? Atmospheric nitrogen, then after nitrogen fixation, ammonification, nitrification, and denitrification. Got it? So all of you understood? Sure. See, the picture of the nitrogen cycle is already given over here. From it you come to know well about it. So now here our chapter number 2, microorganisms, friend and foe, is finished. Okay, in tomorrow I will send you a question answers of it, so please write it in your notebook. Okay, bye.